Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast, where I'm already losing my mind as the show starts.
This has been the worst morning in CHGO history.
Not great.
No, it's been
Not great.
This has been the worst morning in CHGO history that I've experienced. There's not one nice thing has been said to anyone.
First of all, once again, as we've already covered pre-show and what has turned into an actual fight, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the show. Adam, Hoge, Mark, Carman, Greg Braggs Jr. here.
Chewing gum.
He's chewing gum. Before we get to the gum, okay, you, Carman.
You had a mint the other day, too.
I had a mint the other day. You need to live outside the Bears world. Okay, this has been a tremendous morning for CHGO. Our Blackhawks crew has already welcomed Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner to their show this morning.
That's
to
awesome.
their Airbnb at their less than amazing Airbnb.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean,
that's a
they're probably
knock, knock, knock. Oh boy, that's an interesting. Oh,
hopefully
hi guys.
Again, hopefully they were not Raggedy Ann dolls.
I
on the walls.
don't think there were. Thankfully,
You know how we had Ryan Poles on at the Combine?
that was cool.
If that had been set up at the Airbnb, I think I would have canceled the interview. I would have said no.
No, honestly, that'd be amazing. Can you imagine setting up in that room?
I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable with this.
For the one person that doesn't get the reference, there were weird Raggedy Ann dolls at our Airbnb in Indianapolis that freaked us all out, and we thought the place was haunted.
And the reason being because the place we were staying in,
Was haunted?
the originator of Raggedy Ann lived right across the street from this building.
And murdered people.
So I thought it was quite lovely.
So did I. I had a great time. All right, continue on, Hoge. Great stuff going on outside of this show. That's true. The rest of the company is thriving. I agree.
And Braggs is chewing gum.
Well, I was going to swallow
On
the
a
gum
podcast.
right before we started, and then
Not the-
these three prima donnas freaked out about swallowing gum. So I'm going to do it right now.
No.
Yeah.
It stays in your system for the rest of your life.
Good.
Lawrence,
There it
can you
is.
put up a
Gum, rest of my
YouTube
life.
poll?
Just swallowed it. It doesn't matter.
We have not had enough polls today. Can you put up a YouTube poll on whether or not it's okay to swallow your gum?
It's such a
I was
going
going
to
to start a
urban
poll
legend.
based on everything else, but sure.
Oh,
That's fine. No,
it's going to be there forever.
It's going to be in your intestines forever.
I'm fine.
Your kidney's not going to be able to process it.
I'm fine.
I'm worried about you.
Also, Braggs was not on the meeting today or Monday.
Well, Monday I forgot. Today I was too tired.
Okay. Holy shit. Today you're
Last Monday I was sitting there ready for the meeting, and none of you guys were there because you were off that day. So then we just didn't have a meeting, and I was just sitting there alone with Nick.
Because there wasn't a meeting?
Correct. Last Monday.
You know, if you were a gambling man like
Every time I do the
guys
shows
understand
on
what I'm-
Wednesdays, these guys are so angry. Every Wednesday. Last Wednesday, the same thing. Everybody's like high tension. Mark's putting up polls that don't matter.
I had no
Polls.
tension until I got around this crew, and then everybody gave me tension.
Well,
It was their fault. I'm not responsible
up-
for my own
I
tension.
invite everyone to a party. Nobody likes me. Then they make fun of me all night about it.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm going to apologize because I feel like I'm in a bad mood today, and that's on me.
Everybody's in
you
a
should be in a
bad
great mood. You're getting Connor Bedard.
Yeah, but the things I'm being tasked to do with the Connor Bedard situation and not being told about until like they're literally happening. And
Oh,
it's
nothing gets under Lawrence's skin
not
more than
great.
that.
But,
11:53 Carm asked for a graphic.
Yeah, that's always fun.
I've never asked for a graphic in the history of the show. Ever.
Never? Okay. So as far as Braggs' whole thing that we put that video up, and I kind of feel bad about making this
Yeah.
graphic.
What the heck?
I mean, I didn't.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at that stomach.
I've been working hard
yeah,
to
I know.
lose the
Well,
stomach,
I
and then
know,
you
and-
just Photoshop me as a fat lard.
Yeah, I know. That was probably not nice, and I do apologize for that, but I can
You
I
did
only,
not.
I
You
can
did
only
not.
source.
Whose body is that?
It was a random, like, stock
A random
photo
guy
on the
sitting
internet.
on Braggs' driveway.
Yes, man sitting in lawn chair, and it was, I believe it was like, I don't know, mature man, I believe
Yeah.
it said, because he was a little older. So
And Carm is spending all week inviting random people on Twitter to the party
Yeah.
I invited these guys to,
yeah.
and now none of them are going to come.
Wait, the invite. Oh, I think I have something for that. Let me see this. Hold on. Oh yeah, there it is. There's the invite.
Look at that.
Right?
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's the actual text?
That is the actual text right there. If you.
Yeah, that could have been an email.
Yeah, it's very lengthy.
I just wanted to put the information on there.
Yeah.
right.
So sorry for my frustration, but let's get into the polls.
Yeah, we should get into this. We actually have some very serious Bears stuff today I'm excited about. But one quick follow-up to Carm not knowing that the world was on fire yesterday. He slept with his window open last night. Once again, smoke denier Mark Carman slept with the window open. Sounded so bad on our 8:30 meeting this morning.
Just for the record, my window can prop out,
Like you sounded like Gene Honda.
and there's
on
a
the call
little
this
there's
morning.
little slits. It's not like it wasn't like open, but I didn't close these little slits. Then I woke up this morning and I didn't feel great. I'm like, this is that matters apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breathing in smoke for 24 straight hours. Anyone else have
I mean, it wasn't.
dry throat, dry eyes?
I mean,
I've been a little coffee or whatever you want to say.
I like coffee.
Come on,
I like Stan's Donuts.
come on, Canada, step your game up. I did make a stop at Stan's.
Not for me.
Stan's the donuts went for the coffee this morning.
Yeah, 24 hours ago I was defending Canada. I don't know if I am anymore.
Canada's got to
Let's-
step their game up.
let's-
You're better than this, Canada. Cap. All right, let's go.
Is Braggs typing on another lengthy
this
text
guy
to us?
doing
Is he
over
inviting
What do you
us
mean?
to
What?
something?
What?
The show's going on. What are you
Yeah.
doing over there?
I'm sorry. I'm just getting. I was getting the chat up. He's
What
moving
chat?
the chat. I'm getting the chat up.
So you'd rather talk to Weston and Hendricks and Brandon and Swamp Thing and Bakatin than us, which is cool. I get it. I respect that.
Yes.
I would probably actually agree with you. So maybe you should just do that the whole show.
I'm not talking to you. I know that.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you guys. I like
right.
everybody here. I'm actually in a great mood.
Okay.
Just Carm's poll 20 minutes before the show pissed me off.
Hoge put up 4 polls this morning. I came up with a brilliant poll right before the show. I put it out there. Hoge was upset.
It was stupid. That's why.
All right, here's what we're doing today. Maybe we'll end up making this an annual thing because I'm fascinated to see how it changes from year to year. But we're essentially doing an Chicago Bears approval rating show today. We can call it that. The top guys in the Bears organization, how Bears fans are feeling about them right now as it stands. And so we put up 4 polls this morning. 5 if you include
Yeah, I was gonna say
Carms
we
that
put
had
up 5.
nothing to do with what we're doing here.
Had everything to do with what was going on in my head.
I believe that part. I definitely believe that. All right, so we're going to start with the general manager. We put this out. Poll closed at noon, start of the show. If you still want to chime in, please do in the comments throughout the show. And we do have some comments on the polls, too, as we ask people to explain their votes if they wanted to. So first question, how much confidence do you have in Bears general manager Ryan Poles right now? This is actually what kind of prompted this whole experiment because Carmen and I were talking the other day just about how everybody's loving Ryan Poles. And the results of this poll today show this. Nearly 2,000 votes in about 3 hours. And the 4 choices, because Twitter only allows us to have 4 choices. Very confident, somewhat confident, lacking confidence, and not confident. And in terms of at least somewhat having approval, if you combine very confident and somewhat confident, it's damn near what, over 96%?
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
The easy way to do that would be to subtract the lacking confidence and the not confident from 100. If you're having
can
trouble
do
with the math.
both.
3.4%.
Which is what I just did,
Yeah,
so it's 96. Thank you.
Yeah.
Took you way too long then if that's how you did it. This guy needs to go back to math class. Thank you, Braggs.
Adam
All right.
Hoge will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks after
can't.
today.
I mean, how long does it take you to do 100 minus 3? And it's you were not a good math student.
For the
Admit it.
record.
Admit it. You
For
were a
the
bad math
record.
student.
Oh.
I was gonna leave before this show.
I mean,
First
Yeah.
of all, I was an excellent student in everything. Hated math.
Thank you.
Took 0 math classes in
Thank you.
college because I didn't need to.
Thank you.
My last
Nailed
math My last math class was AP Calculus at St. Ignatius College Prep.
Oh,
You took AP Calculus and you couldn't do 100 minus 3?
I remember getting asked to leave AP Calculus in my high school days.
I turned in the test halfway through it. You know, the test you take at the end of an AP
I
class
didn't even
to get
take the
college
test.
credit.
Yeah.
I said, I don't need this college credit. I don't want this college credit. I have no interest in taking this test, and I turned it in before the written part. For the record, I was thinking about how to phrase the confidence level. I was not stumbling on the math there. 100 minus 3.4 or whatever. All right. The point is, Ryan Poles' approval rating is through the roof right now.
sure.
And I would stand to argue that short of a Super Bowl championship, Ryan Poles' approval rating will never be higher than it is right now.
So it's interesting, too, right? How many games did they win last year?
3.
By design.
Right. Now, was
Now,
Valus
Mark,
Jones
they played 17 games,
lost 14.
14, so that's 3.
3
Yeah,
plus
where were
4.
you on that math?
Yeah, right, exactly. And was Valus Jones a good draft pick?
It's not looking great.
Was Chase Claypool a good trade?
It's not looking great.
Right. Now,
A lot of faith in the Roquan Smith
was
swap
Is the
too.
book written on either of those guys yet?
But my point is that he hasn't been perfect, and no GM is, but I just think there's a way that Ryan just presents himself in front of the media, in front of fans. There's a calmness to him that just makes you, and a confidence that makes you believe that he's just a very rational guy, and nobody's going to be ever perfect in that position. They're going to take swings. Some are going to work out, hopefully more than won't, and that over time he'll make more correct decisions than not, and you're going to have a winner on your hands. And I think that's what Bears fans see.
Right.
It's not like they're blind to what hasn't gone perfect.
Right. Were all his moves perfect last year? No. I mean, they picked up the defensive end from the Colts, Muhammad. He was terrible, right?
Sure.
Byron Pringle never became a factor. You know, but at the same time,
I think he signed those guys, though, to lose. It was brilliant.
Also, yeah, I don't those come on. Those are not moves that he should be judged on at all.
100%.
Those were to fill the roster out.
Exactly.
To get a year. You have to put players out on the field.
I think he literally went out and got Al-Qatim Muhammad to fill a spot and knew that he was not going to do anything, so they would lose games.
I think that had more to do with Flus liking him from Indy.
but that's my point
That's
is
probably the
that
real story, yes.
when you compare, the reason people like him so much is because when you compare him to Ryan Pace, who would trade up constantly and overpay for guys that weren't good, like Mike Glennon or, things of that nature, he does things in the opposite way. So for Bears fans, that gives them comfort because everything was a disaster with Ryan Pace by the end of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The word that I was looking was demeanor, Jimmy. That's a good way of underlining it. Pace had a fairly decent demeanor, too, for the record. For a while, I felt confident that guy knew what the hell he was doing. And then you just saw, draft after draft go by, and it just got to the point where you clearly do not.
Well, to your point about how not all these moves have been perfect, that's why I'm a little surprised that very confident, which is the highest option we made available in the poll, is at 48.1%. I totally understand and expected the majority to be somewhat confident.
That's where I voted.
Because I do think that overall, the overall macro plan to this point has been very sound, makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It's led to better than expected results in terms of team building. Not wins and losses, but team building to somehow land the number one pick, then flip that number one pick for more picks and DJ Moore.
Exactly.
If you're going to get on more of the pickier micro moves like the Claypool trade, sure. That gives you just a little hint of doubt to be like, okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to vote 3. But the amount of people that are that confident, very confident, that surprised me a little bit. Just overall, though, I expected this to be very, very high. Maybe not this high, but this is kind of proving my point, which I thought Maybe a little bit of confirmation bias in my own head here that I don't know it's ever going to be better than this.
Well, Gary's making some good points in the chat about the fact that the Pace did not want to do media. Poles is way more available.
Right.
Poles is way more. If you run into Poles, he's friendly. He's just a much more likable. He's a more likable dude. Period.
Because to your point, I mean, if you remember when they were on a bad skid last year, he spoke to the media before the Patriots game. Like they hadn't won many games, they didn't win anything after that, but. It'd be one thing if he had stepped up to the mic after the Patriots game, but it spoke to his confidence in himself that he's like, no, I'm going to stand in front of the media and take some questions about the direction of Justin Fields. And then, Justin went on a little run there. He's just savvy. To me, the way he handled the Roquan Smith situation. Roquan kicked up a lot of dust before the before at Family Fest and training camp, and then he doesn't sign him. And now he flips that into Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards for essentially the same amount of money that Roquan Smith makes. So, to me, he's just business savvy, and demeanor is a big aspect of that.
Logical down the middle pulls, which, by the way, if we're looking at GMs around the Chicagoland history of that were successful, and the guy that had the greatest success in turning around a franchise, I'm talking about Theo. Theo did a lot of things that were just very logical. Let me take the best hitter in the draft. Okay, let's go. Let me draft Chris Bryant over a pitcher who may or may not have success. Let's just make logical plays, and it's not quite the same thing, but the trade for DJ Moore feels the same in the same general ballpark.
And I feel like that is I know we talk about it a lot, but I feel like it's a very underrated. As far as national perspective, he picked up the best wide receiver on the market. So we got a super chat from that dude Tank. I have more confidence in Poles than I do with AK.
I just think that's funny.
That's
obviously
depressing.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
the guy who found the best basketball player in the world currently can't figure out how to build a basketball team. But no, I mean, back to it just pisses me off. Yeah. The DJ Moore thing, I just feel like is undersold nationally. It is so hard to get a good wide receiver on this market, and he got the best one. I mean, no wide receiver of that caliber is going to hit the market for years, unless they're aging, like DeAndre Hopkins is right now on the market. So to me, and then he also adds that with a right tackle of the future to protect Justin Fields, combines that and gives us multiple first-round picks coming up next year. They were so competitive. They had 3 wins last year, and every game was exciting. We were in here, locked in for the majority of the season. So, by design, they tried to lose, got the number 1 pick, and still found their way to be relatively competitive in each game week to week. So, yeah, I am very confident of him.
Here's some of the comments I wanted to share. Some of them are here on YouTube. Some are on Twitter with the actual polls. Jacob here saying if the 2 worst things polls did is drafting Velus and trading for Claypool, the Bears are in a good spot.
Ditto.
It's a fair way to look at it. Betsy on Twitter says, very confident. Poles is his own man. I love that. He's confident, and he seems as if he's a veteran already. He's not afraid of different voices, and he's a good man who treats players like human beings.
Thank you, Betsy.
Chaz says, I have been burned too many times, and he thinks he knows so much about football that he doesn't focus on his backyard in scouting the Big Ten. I mean, he did draft Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah, and
I don't know about that. He's been in Northwestern games. He's been in Ohio State. I don't know about that. All right, Harvey says, overall quite good, but think we could have done more to support Fields last year. For example, not spending both of the first draft picks on defense and then drafting Velus Jones. And the Claypool trade is unfortunate. I'm probably a 3.5.
That's good underlining. It was curious that you went 2 secondary selections with your first 2. And to this point, if we're being honest about it, neither have been a home run. Now maybe they'll get there, but they're not there yet.
He's got a good poker face. What that guy in the chat's talking about, they needed to help Fields more last year. He's going to stick to best player available until this team is ready to take need. They were definitely not ready last year at that point. And this year, it was more of the same. And when it comes to contract situation, whether it be Roquan Smith or what's going to happen with Jalen Johnson going in the future or whatever, he's not going to overpay. David Montgomery, he's going to have his number and stick to it. Ryan Pace was the complete opposite. He had no poker face. He gave up a 4th-round draft pick to get Nick Foles in here. He was terrible. You know, that I just feel like he is such the difference, the antithesis to what Ryan Pace was with the Bears.
That could have definitely been a moment for the. It's all right.
What moment? What happened?
There was a moment. You were in it.
You were in the moment.
What did I do?
Alan, Super Chat, $10. In the past, we had to read between the lines on what our GMs have said in the past. I feel this regime means exactly what they say. I will say, I 100% agree. Ryan Poles has been more transparent. I appreciate some of the conversations that have been had, you know, both in press conferences and various times where you run into him. And there's just less paranoia, which is good. We're still sort of early in this honeymoon phase, though. And I'll repeat something I think I said on yesterday's show, Monday or yesterday. It's like this year's going to be a little bit different if they're not winning football games.
Yes, true. And I would like to just have a slight pushback on I think it's a popular narrative that the Bears were trying to lose last year. And it wasn't like a complete teardown of the roster. They were 1-7 in one-score games. They were unlucky. They absolutely should have won a couple more games. The Lions.
What you're trying to say is they were not actively trying to lose. They were also not terribly concerned about winning.
Right.
With the roster construction.
Correct.
Inside that building, they were still trying to win football games.
Exactly. Polls,
with the only exception probably being that last game of the season when Tim Doyle, Toil, and
that was the smartest. Right. When
that one they tried to lose to secure the number 1 pick. And even then they got lucky.
Right. Exactly. So I don't want to give like full 100%. This is exactly how they thought the year was going to go. Like they didn't do what the Blackhawks just did to get Connor Bedard. They sort of, I'm not saying they completely lucked into it, but
Poles has said that, by the way. Like Nick reported a couple times during the season from inside the press boxes on the road that
he's having a meltdown.
Poles was losing his mind during games because they weren't winning.
Right.
Darnell Mooney drops a game-winning touchdown against the Commanders, or else we're not talking about the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Right.
But
correct. But we are.
But they played it out in a position that gave them flexibility. They were definitely not concerned about winning a division or anything like that.
They knew they were going to have a top pick.
And it played out great, and they got some help along the way, especially in Week 18.
But quickly, to your point about
Smith.
How the narrative could start to change this year, I completely agree. The honeymoon phase is right now, and it officially ends Week 1 against the Packers because there are high expectations from Bears fans for that game specifically. And then as we go into the season, you've got Justin Fields that has to take a big step. You know, they didn't take Bryce Young. I mean, no Bears fan was ever going to sign off on that kind of idea. But if you get into 8 weeks into the season and Chase Claypool's struggling, you know, Velus Jones isn't on the roster, and Bryce Young's balling out for the Panthers. Meanwhile, Justin Fields is still struggling. Not saying those things are going to occur, but if they did, the honeymoon phase will officially be over for Ryan Poles, and there will be a lot of questions from a segment of Bears fans.
Well, if it goes that way, and I think that's a very light percentage, at least on the Fields part, I think he's going to be fine. At least middle of the road this year would be my guess. If not, you know, hopefully it'll be better than that. But my point is this: like, they won't. I think a lot of Bears fans will, rightfully so. They say he didn't draft Justin Fields, and now, you know, next draft, we'll see what he does. And I mean, if it really goes south this year for Fields and the Bears, then exactly to Hendrick's point, then we can have Caleb Williams then we can start looking at QBs.
That's what Bears fans. I mean, the chances of them striking gold twice and having a pick in a position to take a quarterback like that is extremely slim. It's
Correct.
not. It's not going to happen.
Correct. It's not. However, if it does happen, as in Fields is terrible, they might be in that position again.
They have a better chance of the Panthers pick being the number 1 pick than the Bears.
They'll have them both. Not necessarily. If Justin's bad,
just the bounce of the ball luck suggests the Bears will win more than 3 games.
Right.
Regardless.
I agree.
So I think that's asking a lot.
And whether Bears fans like it or not, because the Bears were never going to trade Justin Fields and take Bryce Young and all that narrative through the offseason and talking points. If Justin Fields does not work out ultimately for the Bears, whether that's 2 or 3 years down the road, whatever, and Bryce Young becomes a generational talent, there will always be this, what if the Bears had taken Bryce Young? You only get so many shots to have the number 1 pick in the draft. In fact, the Bears have only had it twice, this year and in 1943 when they drafted an insurance salesman.
47.
So, that, like, whether we like it or not.
Do you say that with confidence because you were alive?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
No, I say it with confidence, law, because I've done the homework rather than tucking out of my lawn chair on my thing with free parking.
Extended driveway.
It does look good.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
And Lawrence isn't impressed, but
I was impressed.
I'm more impressed now, but
I'm more impressed you got all that done while going to 700 sporting events last weekend.
You're one of the most motivated people of all time, minus coming to the meeting, which literally requires you to set an alarm at 8:28, roll out of bed, and just and open your eyes.
He doesn't even need to open his eyes. I mean, you
everybody
didn't
else-
even have your video on this morning. What was going on with you?
I mean,
I
as
couldn't
long
find
as
my pants.
Why do you need pants for a Zoom meeting?
I just didn't want to put myself in an awkward position. No, I had
as long as someone is there, as long as someone is in the meeting to make sure you're not coming up with any bad ideas.
We needed you this morning. You would have, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. $2 super chat from Alan Watson. How good does Justin need to be to remove all doubt? I don't think he needs to
Pro
be
Bowler.
to remove all doubt. Pro Bowler is probably
More than that. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a Pro Bowler. There's still doubts about
Mitch
him.
Trubisky made a Pro Bowl as an alternate.
Yeah. He's got to, you know what? To remove all doubt, he's got to be in the MVP conversation.
3,500 yards
Agreed.
throwing the football.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah. All right. Appreciate that's the answer right now. We're not doing Justin Fields' approval rating today. We could do a whole show on that. We could probably do a whole year on that, which we will coming up.
Another poll
really
for
for the
Carman
next
to put
6
out.
months.
All right.
All right. AG1.
So good.
You guys up to speed on AG1?
I'm not. Please tell me.
You're going to want to give this a try. It's a good thing to drink, consume, really anytime. But in the morning when you wake up, makes you feel better. It's got all the goods in it before working out.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing to drink before you drink coffee.
Yes.
Just to get the right things in your body, makes you feel good. Just overall, you're better gut health. You're just going to feel like you have a little bit more energy. AG1, it's all the stuff you need on a daily basis to feel good. And that's how they do it. They put it all in one little thing. You consume it with some water, a little scoop of AG1 in your water, replaces your multivitamin, your probiotics, all those pills you might take with different vitamins and things like that. It's all right there in AG1, that one scoop. It's a science-driven formula, vitamins, probiotics, and whole food source nutrients. AG1 is raising the standard for quality in the supplement category and helps you build your health foundation first. When you're taking care of your body like all the athletes do, it starts with optimizing your whole body health. AG1 does that. Daily serving, set yourself up for success with 75 high-quality ingredients that give you daily nutrients, support your energy, focus, strength, and clarity. Here's what you're going to do. If a comprehensive solution is what you need Do you feel like you want to do from your supplement routine? Then try AG1. Get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You go to drinkag1.com/CHGO Bears. Do that right now. That's drinkag1.com/CHGO Bears. Check it out.
Love it. It's the easiest way to quick health. You might want to consider it. So it's slurping down gum over there. By the way, just a side bit of advice for you. All right,
How's your knee?
it's good. I'm making moves.
What was the update?
Well,
Get an update.
Don't worry about the update. I did yoga yesterday. I'm on the move. I don't know what's going on, by the way, with the 28-year-olds of the world. Everybody wants. I'm trying to get a peaceful sauna these days. Normally you can go in the sauna in the summertime. No one's in there. Every 28-year-old who goes out and gets hammered in this city is just like sitting in the sauna because somebody on TikTok told them that saunas are healthy. And I'm like, can you guys go? I'm used to having Morty, the 90-year-old, in there in the corners, half dead, the lone guy in there. Now I get every single Dawson and
Chad
is in there, and it's like,
You should be in the steam room, first of all.
steam's too hot. It's just,
But
I do a 1-minute steam after. Anyway,
1 minute?
so I'm doing my cold shower. I'm doing everything. Everything's going good. Knee's great. Thank you so much for asking. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families like Greg Braggs' family and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future, buddy.
That's right. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Greg, can you go further and tell me exactly how that works?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Greg Braggs, did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
Yes, I did. Schedule it today.
All right, Hoge.
Here we go.
All right, before we move on to your polls, let's deal with this gum poll
Oh, yeah.
because that's the important poll
Yep.
today that Mark did not put out.
Hey, you got any gum?
It's actually pretty even.
Really?
52% say no, Braggs, no, to the question, should Braggs be swallowing his gum?
And I voted no, Braggs, no, just for fun.
And it's now down to 47% say it's fine. So that's pretty average. I'm going to end that one. We're going to do a different poll.
Yeah,
Mayo
thank you.
Clinic.
47% of the people watching
Say
the
it's
show
fine.
right now think it's okay to swallow gum.
It is
this is-
okay to
this-
swallow
I mean,
gum.
I've seen some of the commenters in here.
Mayo
That-
Clinic
that
here, Hoge.
tracks.
I think Mayo Clinic.
Love you, everybody.
Mayo Clinic probably knows more about medicine than me and you. Although chewing gum is designed to be chewed and not swallowed, it generally isn't harmful if
Right,
swallowed.
it's not. It's
Folklore-
a fairy tale you were told as a kid.
Folk-
You two old guys, or, even though Adam's younger than me. I always forget that. You're definitely older than me, though, Mark.
I am, Greg. Folklore suggests that swallowed gum sits in your stomach for 7 years before it can be digested, but this isn't true. If you swallow gum, it's true that your body can't digest it, but the gum doesn't stay in your stomach. It moves relatively intact through your digestive system and is excreted in your stool.
Okay.
Thank you.
First of all,
Congratulations. You're
Age is
okay.
just a number, and anybody
you.
who watches the show knows I am the oldest person here.
That's true. And also, age is just a number, and everybody knows that I'm in much better health than the man to my left.
Weight is just a number.
I don't think that's true.
No, it is. And you're terrible with numbers.
All right, let's. All right, we got 3 more members of this Bears front office to get through in 25 minutes. So,
then you're on vacation.
no, I got a show tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. My bad. I'm sorry.
God.
The Flus.
This is a good one. Where is he at?
So this is interesting because he also has a very high overall approval rating. But if polls was combined between very confident, somewhat confident, at 96%, Flus is down 10 more points to 86%. But unlike polls, who got a ton of very confident votes, Flus, his majority was 70% going with somewhat confident. So there's a little bit more of a hesitation. Still overall pretty confident. I think that's a result of kind of still being in the early honeymoon phase here with this regime.
Mm-hmm.
And giving him the benefit of the doubt for a lot of last year, which is completely fair. And I think here in this, I probably would have voted somewhat confident as well. Like the overwhelming majority here did at 70.3%. But he also got way more votes than polls did with lacking confidence. So there's definitely some people that are a little bit more hesitant with the head coach than the GM. And I don't know. Why do you guys think that is?
Mainly because they won 3 games and he had no real opportunity to distinguish himself other than bringing in a culture, which I think that's where you get the confident level. That I think you just feel confident that this dude at least is going to create an environment that guys are going to want to, be their best in or can be their best in.
I think a lot of Bears fans, when we were looking for a head coach, wanted an offensive head coach, and they went old school Bears, get a defensive coach. I think everyone wants it to work out for Eberflus, Bears fans. They're not rooting against him, but it's the confidence level is lower because they need to see more. What was the bright spot last year? Justin Fields. That's the offense. How much input does he have there? The secondary certainly I thought improved as the season went, so maybe there's something to speak for development. I didn't love his end-of-game strategy at times. There were some times when he chose to punt against, the Vikings? Or was it the Giants? Where he chose to punt on 4th and 2, and then the Bears never got the ball back because Velus Jones fumbled. That really was like, you cannot make that decision when you have Justin Fields who can easily get you 10 yards. So I didn't like that.
It was early in the year, though, but yeah.
So of all the things that you've mentioned here, I think we got to focus mostly on that type of stuff. Actual head coaching decisions, game strategy, and then the culture, which I think has actually been very, very good.
Yep.
When the Bears when they fired Matt Nagy and they went through another coaching change, I was 100% in on the idea of hire a CEO coach, not one that's obsessed with play calling, whether it's offense, defense, whatever. And I love that Flus came in. One of the first things he said was, I'm not going to be calling the defense. And so if you want to blame the defensive stuff, get on Alan Williams. Okay? Flus's main job last year was to set the culture in place, get the buy-in, and then I think there are a handful of examples, either good or bad, inside the season in actual game situations that you can pick apart. I still think overall, though, and then, of course, game planning, there were definitely a couple moments, like you brought up, Braggs, that were a little questionable. Maybe I'm overrating that Patriots game, but you got to give Flus credit for the way that they revamped. Yes, Getsy did the individual offensive stuff, but you don't do that without the head coach's approval.
Yeah.
And that all starts with the head coach. So I think same thing with polls. I think there's way more to be excited about with the head coach than to be skeptical about, even if there are a few things to nitpick on here and there.
Well, but to push back on that, why did it take them that long into the season to make an obvious adjustment? It frustrated me for weeks that they weren't spreading it out and letting Justin make plays. They finally did by the Patriots game. And yes, Belichick didn't have an answer for it that game.
I think that was most likely a matter of time management, to be honest with you, and the fact that they were – people don't want to hear this, but that switch they flipped during that mini-bye was also somewhat of an admission that Justin Fields was struggling with things that they've said out loud he needs to be better at, throwing the football, right? So they were hoping that it would have come together and they would have run more of what they were trying to run those first 5 weeks of the season, and it's really hard to install stuff in the middle of the year. So they needed that mini-bye to basically come up with a plan, and then they did that. Good for them. And I think that, like what you said is fair, but we just went through a coaching regime that wouldn't change ever.
Yeah.
That was stubborn forever. So, yes, was it a week or two too late? Maybe.
Yes.
But I'm still happy it happened in middle of October than not at all.
They also, I think, had to see their early season plan through and fail, and they had to, have a come to Nagy moment where, we're not going to do it this way. We're not going to be like our guy in the chat every single day. We had to change it up. And there's part of me that's like, you could have, and it would have been to the detriment of Fields' health perhaps, just to make him sit in the pocket and try and process and play football that way versus just turning him loose. But I think they probably just realized that this is the way that we're going to win football games with this quarterback. We're going to have to play a little bit more unconventional and let him do the things that he's incredibly talented at doing, even though he never really did a ton of it at Ohio State because they had such a good offensive line and they were so stacked at the wide receiver position. So he didn't have to play that way.
The other thing that, if you want to put this on Alan Williams more so because he's the defensive coordinator, fair, but in that Giants game, Daniel Jones bootleg after bootleg after bootleg, and they did not have an answer for it. You're a defensive head coach. I understand you're the CEO now, but walk over to your defensive coordinator and show him how to make that adjustment because he was literally walking in. My biggest issue of the entire season, when you talk about end-of-game management, was more so the Justin Fields management because once he turned into the electric roller coaster that he became, and one of the most dynamic players in the league, you overused it. He was openly saying he had tired legs, and then you run him into the ground in the Atlanta game to the point where you put him in a position where he gets injured and hurts his shoulder.
That's a great point.
So that was something at the time we were talking about it. That was certifiably insane the way they were using him. Then Justin wants to come back for the Packers game. I was vehemently against it. Everybody's like, let's beat the Packers. I'm like, let's protect our franchise. And they go and let him play. All respect to Justin Fields for showing toughness, but they did not protect him enough at the end of the season for my liking. And I really hope this season they use better judgment on how they use Justin Fields.
All right, some of the comments here on this, and all fair points there. Betsy says, I'm very confident the Flus is the man. His players seem to love him and play hard for him, and not just hard, but disciplined, which is a good point. Logan says, a coach I have confidence in would be able to get us a few of those one-score losses going our way. Also a fair point, and certainly something that this year you're going to want to see.
I'd push back on the player comment, too. We do not have a lot of evidence that they love Flus. Now, which is probably.
I think there's evidence though that they play hard for him and discipline.
And right, and I think there is evidence that there's a respect for him, which is probably maybe more important than being liked. So especially in that position, so
they weren't that penalized, right? They didn't have, random personal, foul penalties or, misconduct. Nobody's gambling.
We don't know that. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
knock on
we
wood.
have a super chat about that.
I feel confident about that, but we'll see.
All right, next one. Kevin Warren, the new president, CEO. Once again, a lot of love. Kevin Warren here. We got 39.9% very confident, 50.8% somewhat confident. So
90.7.
90.7. Thank you, Lawrence the calculator. So kind of splitting polls and Eberflus there in terms of the overall confidence that Bears fans have. Only 7.4% say they lack confidence, or lacking confidence for Kevin Warren. Guy's been on the job for 3 minutes.
It's interesting to me, nitpicking the numbers, that people are more confident in polls than they are in Warren.
Well, he's shown he has more evidence of.
Yeah, but they're both in the 90 percentiles here.
I'm nitpicking. It's a nitpick.
Yeah.
It's a straight nitpick.
Yeah.
What has he shown?
Well, I'm just saying Kevin hasn't really done anything yet.
Yeah. Couple of comments here. David says, helped put together a yearly competitive team in Minnesota, plus their new stadium is held in very high regard as being state-of-the-art and a great fan experience. Max says, very confident, but with the caveat that I think the importance of a team CEO president is kind of overrated. Given his resume, I am very confident he will get a cool stadium built. That's all I'm really asking from him.
I mean, I think Kevin was the only one that I went all the way to very confident. He reeks to me of just somebody who knows exactly what he's doing. He was brought in here to get the stadium done. I think the way they're going about it is very measured, exactly what you expect for somebody in that position. I love the fact that he's showing up at Notre Dame for Cole Kmet. I love the fact that he's going to see Justin Fields. I love the fact that the Bears feel way more accessible now. I love the fact that he gives me a fist bump. I'm a big Kevin Warren guy. I think
fist bump did
a wave.
The fist bump put it from 3 to 4 to you.
Yes.
That's what it was.
But I mean, I get fist bumps for polls. I'm all in with the GM. I believe in him. But like Kevin Warren feels like such an upgrade to what they've had in that spot.
So this is what I've learned here is that Flus needs to give Carman a fist bump.
He does.
That's really what we're lacking here.
Interview. Locker room interview.
He always gives me a weird look when I'm putting my recorder down by him. We haven't bonded yet.
I mean, yeah, he's not Ted Phillips, so that was a great start.
That gets you a spot up.
He's got a reputation with a good stadium that people revere. Sharky here yesterday talking about how much she loves Minnesota Stadium. She did a great job, by the way. What he did with the Big Ten, transforming that conference. They're bringing in USC and UCLA. It's a pretty big deal. The TV contract, big deal. So if those kind of business savvy moves he can bring to the Bears, we're all in for that. And he's playing hardball with Arlington Heights. And, I don't know. I think half of me is frustrated just because we all want things to go smoothly. But to watch how Kevin Warren is approaching it is somebody that understands business and is going to hold everyone's feet against the fire to get the best deal. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Hit the like button if you want a fist bump from Kevin Warren, Nagy. I know you do.
I actually agree with Mac, the comment I just read off of Twitter a minute or two ago, because I think it is a little bit overrated, the impact on wins and losses. On a more micro, like day-to-day level. Now, it obviously has a huge impact because you're involved in the hiring, right? And I think that's where Ted Phillips and George has to be putting that too, kept failing with who they were hiring. But they were the ones that hired this GM. Kevin Warren didn't hire this GM. But once those people are put in place to build the football team, I think in terms of actually like winning a Super Bowl, it is a little overrated how much the president and CEO has an impact on that. So another way to ask this question, specifically when it comes to Kevin Warren, I think is, how much confidence do you have that he's going to get an A+ on the stadium that eventually gets built? Because
pretty damn confident. But
well, see, the only reason I wouldn't probably vote very confident is not even Kevin Warren's fault. It's Chicago. It's the state of Illinois. We're just not good at this. And I'm already getting bad vibes with this whole political nonsense over the tax assessment. And it's like, if he manages to build U.S. Bank Stadium 2.0 in the state of Illinois, build him a statue. Put it right outside the stadium. Name it Kevin Warren Stadium. because that'll be a feat that's never been done before in the history of this state, and I'll be very impressed.
I mean, he just said that he wants to be here for another 20 years and all that stuff, so we'll see if he feels that way once this thing's actually done, because he might lose 20 years of his life trying to get it done in this state. But you hang in there, Kevin. We got your back here at CHGO.
Yeah, it was funny when the initial, hiring of him and talking about the stadium. People were like, "Oh, we'll have that new stadium by 2027, 2028." And now I'm looking at this. I'm like, we'll be lucky if there's a stadium even halfway built by 2030.
Which is what I'm rooting for. Let's just hang out in the city for as long as possible. Let's enjoy every damn moment at Soldier Field. Delay. You get the best deal possible, and you don't stop until you get it. And if it takes 5 years to get that deal, go right ahead. We got a lease for a long time.
You know what's going to help all the smoke we have down here? A NASCAR race.
That's true.
It's so fitting. Can't breathe, and here comes NASCAR. People, have you driven the course? Has anybody walked down Michigan Avenue?
No, I've not driven the course.
Well, because I live.
When did you drive the course?
Last night I was driving home. Right.
The
down
course
Michigan.
is open?
Well, not the course, but a part of the course. A part of the course where the bleachers are. Cars are going to be riding past.
Actually, let me re-answer your question. Yes, I have driven the course. I have driven every road that the course is on in my life, many times.
All right, let me re-ask the question. Have you been by the stands and seen where the cars are running at any point of the course? No, is the answer, right?
I have.
I'm trying to stay away from.
I'm just telling you, they are going. These cars are going to go flying into buildings on Michigan.
That's what my friend said the same thing. My friend,
it looks like ridiculous.
Well,
they're going to go right into Columbia College
to see how it goes. But
no, I hope not.
Why they didn't pave what the course is going to be? I thought they were going to fix those roads to have NASCAR race on them.
That's the funny part. Is have you driven down Lakeshore Drive?
I mean, it's not like
the potholes are unbelievable.
It's not like Daytona where it's a perfect circle and they can stay at a consistent speed. You're turning sharp corners, so they're going to have to slow down for those. But I agree. I think there is some concern about the safety of this whole event.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make light of what could be a really serious thing, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't go sit in those stands.
Well, people go. Yeah, I was going to say people go to NASCAR events for the.
They've greatly improved There's the fences and the barriers.
You go and look at it. You tell me that you'd sit there. No freaking way.
I was actually highly interested in going to this thing, and I just think it's completely not affordable. Cody Delmendo tweeted right before it showed that charging $63 for a 6-pack of Busch Light.
That's not that much relative to that's $10 a beer.
Busch Light.
$10 a beer. That's normal nowadays. For 15.
Believe what you just said because you have.
I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but relative to stadium prices, that's normal.
But you don't believe in those stadium prices. We've had this conversation a million times.
Right,
you think everything should be cheaper.
I know. I want to make a
movement.
movement.
Don't defend NASCAR over $63 Busch Light.
Okay,
is it the peach Busch Light? Because I saw that in the store. That looks gross.
Anybody who buys Busch Light, God bless you. That's such a bold move. Listen, I'm just saying relative to stadium prices, that's normal. That's all. And
just get your Goose Island. It'll be a lot better.
Come down, find somebody in the South Loop that's got a high-rise apartment. Go up there, drink a goose, and enjoy the race. Don't put yourself in peril. That's my advice.
Anyone know anyone who has a high-rise apartment?
Speaking of
Brian Souter, huge listener to the show, has one. Talk to Carm. I'll get you into Souders. He's excited. He's got cigars and lots of goose.
Speaking of Goose Island, CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988.
He's so proud of himself.
6-time medal winner at Great American Beer Fest. Always in style, citrus aroma, bold hop finish. One of my favorite beers, I know Lawrence likes it too, Tropical Beer Hug, a dry hopped Imperial IPA. 9.9% alcohol. That's dangerously
I prefer
easy
the
to
hazy
drink.
beer hug because it's a 6.0.
Okay. Maybe Mark will, indulge in some 312 wheat ale tonight at the draft party for the Blackhawks.
Makes you want to drink a 6-pack.
Full pocket pills.
Worst
Everyday
show ever.
beer. What the Brewers are drinking. So, grab Ultra Fresh Brewery exclusive beers at Goose Island, Original Brew House on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
First time I've agreed with Robert Friel on anything. He's one of my great fans. Busch Light would have to pay me to drink that thing.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I loved it. I love the old BLD, the Busch Light draft in bottles back in the day in Iowa City.
Really?
Yeah, you get the 24-pack case of bottles, and then that becomes your coffee table in your dorm room.
If I remember right, Natty Light was the big beer in Iowa City.
I thought Natty Light was more Ames, but that's just me.
Actually, I'm thinking of visiting my sister at Miami, Ohio.
We were not big on Natty Light.
Natty Light was the big Miami, Ohio beer. That's what it was.
We would splurge for Leinenkugels back in the day. That was like the big buy.
Oh.
Anyway,
Go Goose or go home. That's what I have to say. Hey, if the smoke ever lifts and you can see that sun, the sun's kind of coming out today, you're going to want to put your Shady Rays on. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. They're an independent sunglass company. They offer world-class shades that are just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and they have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. If they break for any reason, if you lose them, they just send you a new pair. That's as easy as it gets. Just like that, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence. They have your back long after you purchase. Plus, they're great people. They have what they call the Shady Rays Impact. They're providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the United States of America. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Exclusive for our listeners here at CHGO, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can go to shadyrays.com right now. Use code CHGO. You'll get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Shady Rays.
All right, before we get to the fourth member of our management approval rankings, I want you to know that I put a poll out there on the old YouTubes which says, which member of the Bears organization do you have the most confidence in? And we've got Eberflus, Poles, Warren, and George McCaskey. And while you're taking the time to vote for that, please also hit the like button. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
we should do a rank order on the show before we go to. I'd like to do that. Thank you very much.
As I explained on the meeting, the order will be very clear. We already know Poles is number 1, Warren's 2, and Flus is 3.
I want your rank order.
My rank order?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll get through George here.
Well, I have the most confidence
Scooting
in
along.
Yeah, who's your 1?
Justin Fields. Oh, that's not what we're doing.
Cheating.
Okay. How much confidence do you have in Bears chairman George McCaskey? Results a little bit different on this one. But I would also say 100% this is much higher than it would have been if we'd done this poll 2 years ago. And I think that's an interesting part of this.
You're trending positive, George.
Yeah. So, by far the least amount of very confident votes. Only 5.4% said they are very confident in the Bears chairman. But 36.4% said they're somewhat confident. Just barely edged out by lacking confidence at 37.2%. So kind of split here. Then there's still 21% that are holding strong to not being confident, which if we had done this poll at the time Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace were fired,
it would be like 100%.
Probably about 98% just not confident at all. So you got, I think, a majority of Bears fans that are sort of on the fence. They're like, hey, wait a minute. Maybe things are trending in a new direction. Then you got a lot of Bears fans that are like, this thing's been going on for almost 13 years now. The results have not been good. And I think both sides are completely defendable on that. If you're going to just base it on what we've seen so far since George McCaskey took over, there's not a lot to defend. The results haven't been there. He would tell you the same exact thing. They have not won enough football games. There's been a lot of hirings that have gone wrong. But if we're going to do 4 polls and the first 3 are an immense amount of confidence right now in the GM, the head coach, and the new CEO and president, well, those changes you got to give George McCaskey credit for, and I think that's why we're probably seeing this thing trending back up in a positive direction with the confidence in the Bears chairman.
George is very likable. George, I think, would be my number 1 pick, although I don't know. It'd be a tough call, but
Number one pick for what?
If I could have a beer with any of them and just get stories and like just to hear, like, I think I'd probably take George because, you know, he's been around the longest. There's got to be a ton of, if you could really actually get like the real tea, George would be, and he probably would give you stuff, would be my pick. But I do think there is, as far as the current formation of Pulls and Flus and now Warren, it does feel a little bit like, you know, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Sort of luck going on here. Although the Warren thing it trends me up on him because that was a big time hire by George and a huge hire in my mind.
Yeah, full disclosure, I don't like George McCaskey. I don't think he's that likable. I think a lot of the stuff he does is show pony, walking through the South Lot, taking pictures.
I think you're so wrong about that.
I don't like him.
I think he is. I think he is.
And that's fine. And I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong on it. I just wanted to preface before.
I just think it's authentic. That's all I'm saying. I think that, if anything, that might be the fault in George. Okay. That he's not enough like of a true NFL owner type to have enough success.
I just don't
think
what
you see from him, that is him. That is authentic George McCaskey.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to try to bash him too much. I don't personally like him that much. I see through some of the stuff, but
that's so funny. I'm not going to try to bash him so much.
I just don't like him.
We just both threw flowers at him, and then you just came in here.
Well,
I don't like the guy.
Well,
but here's the thing: if you don't like him because he has,
honest.
if you don't like him because they haven't won enough football games, completely defensible take.
Braggs, you don't have to like him.
Yeah,
it's totally
fine.
But like, why don't you like him exactly? That's the question, I guess.
Like, compared to Michael and really,
what don't you like about him?
I just don't buy all the.
You think it's fake? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. I don't buy it all.
Really?
Yeah.
You get a fake vibe from him.
Yeah. I'm around it enough. That's fine.Maybe I'm wrong. You're a lot closer to it than I am. But I don't
think it's fake, man.
I've been around him enough to have my own opinion on it.
You are.
Okay. You do.
Yeah,
I trust your
opinion. I see him in
opinion.
South Lot. I see all the stuff he does. But while that all being said, just being full disclosure that I don't really like the guy that much, I do have to give him a lot of credit. He didn't hire Tony Medlin as the next president. He hired Kevin Warren. That's a big change of direction of what he's been known for, and that's being this in-house guy.
Why did Tony Medlin just get thrown in there?
Well, because that would be such a George move, like to hire Tony Medlin.
I would have hired Tony Medlin.
I like Tony. Nothing wrong with Tony.
Tony should be the president.
Yeah,
of the United States.
Right now he's like. When he had when they had the disaster press conference with Ted Phillips, and they talked about,
like the year before they fired
everybody. With
collaboration.
That was
collaboration. That was when I was like,
that poll. If we had done this poll on that day,
0%.
I was at my wits' end.
It would have actually been 100%, not 99.9. It would have been 100 or 0%.
But
approval
I
rating.
will say that I felt like he was trying to do everything he could to hold on for dear life to try to win his mom one more Super Bowl. I do think that's the biggest authentic driving force he has, is try to win one more for his mom while she's still on this earth. I do believe that. I think that's important to him, and that's great. So he's had those changes. I don't love the Hard Knocks decision. I wish he would.
That's what this is about.
No, it's not. I knew you guys were going to go there, but that is something
you went there.
I'm just bringing that's one aspect of it up, but I'll give him credit for some of the things, and
like what?
Hiring Kevin Warren and having this change of direction with the stadium and everything of that nature. That's what's coming for Bears fans. I'm excited for, as long as they can get it done. So,
I'm gonna read a couple comments here.
What is that?
You don't need to look at the chat for every second that you see if they agree with your outstanding takes.
That's not what I'm doing.
What are you
also,
doing?
the chat's on the screen in front of us.
He moves it around and I can't see it. There's a table there. Don't talk to me about looking on your phone during the show.
Yeah, that's a bit pot kettle black situation.
Yeah.
But he's
You know what? I changed my mind. I'm going on vacation after this show.
No, I'm not.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I'm off tomorrow.
I'll give him some credit. Oh, and then the final thing I was going to give him credit for, like you guys were saying, going to these graduation ceremonies and things like that. He also, Paul Zawicki, the road warrior that's good friends with Don the Bearman, the two guys that have been going to Bears games since 1980.
Sure.
Absolutely. My guy.
Well, I wrote an article on him. We shouted him on the show a few times. He's one of the many fans that
I've
we see on
definitely-
TV.
I'm not trying to be rude. I lose track of which random guy on TV you know personally.
Right.
Because every game we watch together and here, you're like, I know that guy from Cincinnati who's
he's
the
one
biggest
of
Bengal
them.
Is
fan.
Zawicki friends with Sweet and Sour Nipple?
Yes.
Okay.
They call him Paul the Road Warrior Zawicki. He's been going to every Bears game since 1980. He's one of, you should know him if you're a Bears fan. Anyway, he just got married over the weekend.
Okay.
He
Zawicki
invited
did?
George McCaskey, and George McCaskey came to his wedding.
And you hate George McCaskey.
I know, and that's what I mean. When he does things like that, I'm like, maybe I'm the asshole.
You definitely are on this one.
Okay.
It's okay.
And I'm willing to concede that could be a possibility for sure.
Braggs.
McCaskey went to Zawicki's wedding,
McCaskey went to Zawicki's wedding.
and you just said what you said about McCaskey?
Yeah.
You need to go back and take an English class on how to build an argument,
I was just.
the evidence, your thesis, and how you lay out the evidence.
Well, I've said multiple times on the show that I don't like the guy, so I'm not going to,
I don't think it's authentic. But my friend invited him to his wedding, and he showed up.
As he should, Paul Zawicki and Don the Bear Man have been going to every game since 1981, and that's literally the least he can do for those two guys who have literally put their blood, sweat, and tears and every penny they've ever made into this suffering, losing franchise.
You know what we need to do? We need to invite George to the cul-de-sac on Friday night. I would say there's a 17% chance he actually shows up.
Do you understand that most people in that position, though, would not have the respect for Zawicki that McCaskey has for Zawicki?
And I got respect. I got, even if I don't like the guy, I got respect for him.
You
to do
think
that,
Jerry
100%.
Jones would show up
You
to
think Jerry Reinsdorf? Do you think Tom Ricketts? Do you think that
That just because
Rocky
you're comparing
Works.
what other people wouldn't do as a nice gesture doesn't, like being nice is, having a moral compass should just be a human nature thing, not a how much money is in your pocket thing.
George, Friday night, show up to Braggs' cul-de-sac, fireworks show.
free parking?
Win them over. Win them over. It'll be the greatest PR move you've ever done.
Take a swim in the pool.
The way too long text is right there on the screen
He's not
for you.
invited to my party. Neither are you, Carm.
You're not inviting George?
You and George are not invited.
George is invited.
George is invited.
George is
He's not invited.
He'll be scooting down 9094.
George is not only is he invited, but I'm going to pick him up and we're both coming. How's that?
great.
Now that would be content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Braggs. We made it.
All right. This has been a fun show.
There are a couple supers we got to get to before
Yes,
we
please.
leave.
And then I actually have something I want to end the show on kind of a sad note, actually, but that's okay. Jesse, $4.99. Moore was better with the Panthers than Brown with the Titans and Diggs with the Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diggs was
They're-
pretty good with the Vikings.
I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah, Brown was pretty good with the Titans, too.
Yeah, but the point he's making is also that Moore had terrible quarterbacks to work with. I guess Brown did with the Titans. So whatever.
Yeah.
Tannehill,
I mean, if your point is that the Bears got a good wide receiver,
Yes.
we agree.
Yeah.
Brandon says $5. Are there going to be any Bears on the gambling suspension list that is about to drop? Love the show. Yeah. Don't know at this point. Haven't heard anything. I will say, and this was echoed by a lot of players around the whole league, not just Bears players, but it was a little concerning to hear, like, even Cole Kmet and some other guys say that, like, they learned some things that they didn't know. It really seems like when this all happened like a month or two ago and the team had to come in and tell them all the rules again, like, it seems like it was very poorly communicated. Now, that being said, what Isaiah Rodgers was doing was just ridiculous. If you're betting on NFL games, I have a little bit of sympathy for the players that might be getting in trouble for, like, betting on an NBA game inside their NFL locker room. Because that part didn't seem to be very well communicated. But if you're betting on any type of NFL game as a player, especially ones of the team that you're on, yeah, there's really no defense for that. That's just dumb.
Not a great choice.
Yeah.
But
I don't know the answer to that, if any Bears are going to be on there, though.
do I really care, though, if a player on the Bears is betting on the Cardinals versus the Seahawks because he thinks he knows? What's my issue? Seriously,
well,
what do I
the
care?
issue is integrity in the league, and
You don't think that they're doing confidence pools or whatever else they've been doing for all time? Like just side stuff has been going on forever that dudes have been betting on NFL games? No?
Well, that's a different question. I mean, has there been shady stuff going on? I'm sure, yeah. But that's different from like, hey, my former teammate that I'm really good friends with is on the Cardinals, and I know the quarterback's not playing, and nobody else knows that outside, so I'm going to put $2,000 on this because I have inside information that no one else has.
I mean,
which players around the league would have compared to your average Joe.
I got it, which is why everybody in Congress has got $7 zillion because they know what the policies are going to be put in. So let me start trading some stocks. I don't know. It's not great, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. And these dudes are making bad decisions, clearly, because they're going to get suspended. You're going to get caught, and that's just a bad move when you're in the prime of your NFL career. But, I mean, are you losing sleep? I guess my question is, are you losing sleep that the NFL has some massive gambling problem that's affecting the integrity of the game? I'm not there. Is anybody there?
I'm not there, no.
Well, I think all of us as fans or spectators of any of these sports tries to not think about it too much, because if there is an integrity question, then what are we watching for? And you saw that with the NBA ref. What was his name? Tim Donaghy?
Yeah.
And it was a very real thing, and it was like, if that kind of thing was happening all the time, or if we actually knew, let's say it was rampant, and we knew, then you'd feel like an idiot wasting all your time watching things that the outcomes are already decided, or however you want to say.
Right. What you just teed up, though, is that the league's literally cheating to put teams through, and that sucks. And
however you want, or players are throwing games or whatever,
that would suck.
You know what I'm saying? And we all just kind of, oh no, it's not happening. But I mean, you can't guarantee it.
I'm not saying that there's not going to be some scandal, but I don't think that making gambling legal moved the motivation factor for people to be shady behind the scenes. If anything, I think it lessened it.
I agree.
People have always gambled.
Exactly.
And
now it's
the
more
fact that it was
public.
more of a black market type thing, those people that were involved in that were moving a lot of money. Enough money that if you're going to have an NBA type scandal like they had, was going to happen anyway.
Agreed.
This is more of an issue of just opening up to more players who have access to it. And keep in mind that not all states have this legal. So one reason why maybe you're a little bit more worried about it as a Bears fan is because it's legal here.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not legal in is it legal in Indiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wisconsin.
You can't as soon as I go across the border in Wisconsin. So you know what? I don't think the Packers are going to have players unless they had players like setting bets in the offseason before they got there on the Packers.
It's just much more of an advertised thing. They talk about it on the sports telecast now, and it's just much more of a norm for people to gamble. 20 years ago, you had like that one friend that gambled a lot. Now everybody gambles.
Yep, and you love Curry Blasingame to get in the end zone. Can't wait to get back to that.
I'll hit on that eventually. We got a 2-year deal on him.
Yeah,
so
by the way, your DraftKings prop bet's coming up in our pregame show. All right.
What's your
sad note? Ryan Mallett passing away yesterday, former
Jeez.
NFL quarterback, and drowned in a rip current in Florida on Tuesday. Was a high school. Once he retired, he became a high school coach and teacher, and they're all at a school in Arkansas, and they're all mourning his death there. He was the head coach at the school he was at. Very sad. This has been these rip currents in Florida have been a thing the past week or so. It's been actually a big story even before this happened with Ryan. But I give this PSA, and I'm not blaming anyone at all, but just be careful with water. Seriously.
Yep.
There was I think we brought this up. There was a drowning up in the Channel Lakes a few weeks ago in a channel that's like literally 4.5 feet deep. Like if you're not being careful, or you're being irresponsible around water, just don't mess with it. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here with Ryan, but there is a thing with rip currents. Do your homework on rip currents if you're by an ocean. If you see a clear patch of water where there's waves on both sides of it, that is a rip current. That is not where you want to go in the water. That'll take you out. And if you do get caught in a rip current, swim parallel to the shore, not against the not back towards the shore. Go parallel to the shore. You will eventually get out of the rip current.
Yep.
And I'm being 100% serious about this. This was real shit that impacts a lot of people. And unfortunately, a lot of people affected by this tragedy with Ryan Mallett. And, of course, our thoughts and prayers from CHGO go out to the Mallett family because it's very sad.
Yeah.
Way too young.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, because I'm sure he's still in good physical condition. It doesn't matter how good a physical condition you are. A riptide or rip current can take you, no matter how good a shape you're in. Peyton Hillis had something similar happen to him in Florida. Riptide took up his son and niece, I believe, and he
Saved
managed
them,
to
but he
save
almost
them
lost his life
and
over it.
almost died in the process. So, that's a great message, especially this time of year. You know, even out in the lake, if you're,
even on small lakes,
right.
but here in Lake Michigan too. Lake Michigan, that's we're talking about an ocean when it comes to water patterns, and also the water's very freaking cold still, so you got to be careful about hypothermia as well. So, just don't be dumb around water is what I'm saying, especially as we go into the 4th of July weekend.
Stay safe out there.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
You can come to my pool. Be done.
How deep's your pool?
It's not. It's like here, so we can be as stupid as we want in there. You two aren't coming though. Neither are you. Neither is Nick Moriano.
How far is it from one end to the other end?
Don't worry about it. You're not ever coming.
The frick I'm not. You sent me your address. I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm gonna pop up at your house. Not invited, whether you like it or not.
All right. I guess I'll show up tomorrow. We'll do one more show.
Hoge's going on vacation.
You can't blame me for all this angst.
This all started with Carm's stupid poll he put out there right before the show.
Great poll by Carm. Don't listen to these guys.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Noon. It'll be a fun show.
We love you. Thanks so much, Chad.
Appreciate
You're
everybody
awesome.
being here.
Hit the like button.
All the come on. One more like and we get to 100. Hit the like button. That's ridiculous. We're not at 100.
Frankie,
hour
hit
and
the like
17
button.
minutes
Come
into
on,
the show.
John. Let's go. Doug's probably already done it. Nagy, have you hit the like button today? Mr. Frankie, Ron Burgundy.
Who is Matt Nagy?
Frankie was asking earlier why you guys got all paused. Why did you guys pause when I was talking earlier? You're like,
I was trying to get Lawrence to hit the Bragg's interruption graphic. Yeah.
was it because the super chat was up there?
You completely interrupted the comments I was reading on Twitter for Ryan Poles.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
Did I?
So it didn't happen,
Well,
but that's why we paused.
I'm
'Cause
ADHD,
I thought he was
I don't
going to
know.
hit it. Love you guys. Love Brags.
I got it.
Party at my house.